Hi, my name is Sandhya Kapoor, and I would like to bring forward the Java Cloud Application Developer Workshop event in a box. We have put together this particular workshop to enable all the team members in ecosystem development to be able to engage Java developers in their communities. We are offering the version 1 of this workshop today, and the intent of the workshop is for you to reach out to the Java developers in your geos, in your locations, and give them technical insights into the journey from developing and running applications on-premise all the way to developing, building, and running applications on the cloud. The version 1 workshop is a 6-hour length workshop. It covers the following topics: the capabilities and features in Bluemix that would enable developers to rapidly prototype their code, build and deploy it to Bluemix using various toolings that we will discuss. These toolings include Eclipse plugins, along with our continuous integration, continuous delivery using DevOps. Next, we also talk about renovating existing enterprise Java applications to run in the cloud. What renovation means is the applications that developers may have today could be taken as a complete entity or partially to the cloud, and it could be combined with certain other languages, taking you to polyglot programming. And also, it needs to follow the 12-factor application methodology so as to make the application cloud-ready, and the next step being cloud-centric. So the 12-factor app methodology will ensure that the applications can leverage the cloud to the maximum potential following the guidelines, as well as get benefit from the richness of the services offered in the IBM Cloud. We also take you to a module that talks about Cloudant NoSQL database, uploading documents to the database, creating views and lists in the database, and exposing your documents through REST API calls. And we touch upon a very popular and powerful service in Bluemix, namely the Watson Cognitive Service, and give you a very simple to follow module where you can set up a project in Eclipse and make Java API calls to Watson APIs as well as to Alchemy APIs. So this content takes you through the Eclipse roadmap for developers, takes you through renovation and migration of enterprise apps, takes you to our data services integration, as well as cognitive services usage. And as I said, you should be able to cover this approximately in 6 hours. So I would like to take this time to point out what this workshop is not. We are assuming that your audience is experienced Java programmers, that they have certain areas which they are really comfortable with while developing Java programs, and in fact can bring to us what those areas are, what they would like to be able to do in the IBM Cloud. But at the same time, we are not taking in this workshop their own applications. We are bringing forward our content using the sample apps that we have put together to illustrate the various concepts. So while we assume the audience is very experienced programmers, we in this workshop will not have the time to take their applications and show the concepts on their app, we will show it using our sample apps as a starting point. And after the workshop, we can definitely engage with them and talk about their own applications and programming experiences. Also, the audience should be familiar with Eclipse tooling, should have been using it for X number of years so that they can then see how the Bluemix plugin in Eclipse enables them to use the capabilities with their Java apps that Bluemix brings. Namely, it allows remote debugging of applications, it allows remote development of applications, enabling incremental pushes. In this workshop, because of time constraints, we cannot dive into all the Bluemix capabilities available. This is an exposure to certain set of services and runtimes. But we need to build upon it and come up with variations of workshops as per the need of the audience at a later point. We are not touching upon system integration factors that would address each and every on-premise software system nuances you may have. For example, various LDAP software or content provider software or various databases ranging from SQL to NoSQL. We are not covering the nuances of each one of them, but we will be providing a integration methodology using secure gateway client into some prominent on-premise software systems. We are also not covering the Cloud Application Developer Certification exam. We are just giving you towards the end and a short overview of that. There are separate training materials for the certification exam for cloud application developers. So having covered what it is not, I would briefly touch upon what it is. It is definitely orienting the enterprise Java developers to the types of cloud offerings we have and the benefits of IBM's Bluemix. It is exposing them to features in Bluemix so that they can engage in a wonderful manner the Java developers, by which I mean give the richness and the fullness of capabilities we are bringing via Bluemix to the Java developers. And we have tried to illustrate this through presentations, hands-on labs, and step-by-step PowerPoints that take the audience through the labs for each of the modules that I touched upon a few minutes ago. We are discussing factors that affect migration of on-prem applications to the cloud and the IBM tooling, namely the migration toolkit that is available to assist with the assessment. We are giving you a real-life scenario of migrating an enterprise Java application from a third-party app server, namely Tomcat, to Liberty Server in Bluemix using a sample application. So this is a absolutely real-life and a full enterprise app that you can migrate and learn the principles and the methodologies. In this, we are assessing cloud readiness using the toolkit. We are making changes to the application to make it cloud ready, and we are migrating, as I said, using the Eclipse tooling. We have labs to illustrate how you can enhance and extend your Java application using Cloudint and Watson services on Bluemix. And we have an overview towards the end of the Cloud Application Developer Certification exam. So let me take you to a sample agenda with just a sample to give you a feel of how you could arrange your agenda. So here is version 1 Java Cloud Application Developer Workshop agenda. So for example, first thing in the morning, you could introduce Bluemix to the audience, give them cloud computing models, an overview of Bluemix, how they can run apps in Bluemix using Liberty for Java runtime, develop and debug using the Bluemix Eclipse plugin, and then code and deploy using IBM DevOps, as well as give a feel for the application server on the cloud middleware offering that is new and has gone GA in IBM Bluemix. So we are providing you a presentation to cover all of this. Next, we provide you presentation and lab to cover the Eclipse tooling. We give you a presentation and lab for continuous delivery and continuous integration using DevOps. And we suggest that you have a short break and then dive into application renovation and migration, for which we have a very deep dive presentation available to you. And we discuss the reasons for renovating or migrating apps to the cloud. What are the attributes to make the app cloud ready and cloud centric? So the agenda on the second slide is continued. After diving into the factors for renovation and migration, you could take the audience to migrating apps from third-party application server to Liberty server in Bluemix. And this is a simple lab that uses tooling called Migration Toolkit to determine the cloud readiness. So it's a very step-by-step, streamlined, simple lab to follow. Next, a very important topic to cover is Cloud and NoSQL database, which is part of our data services. So we go into why Cloudant, why should the Cloudant service instance, like how to set up the Cloudant service instance. After understanding why do we want to use Cloudant. We upload data to Cloudant, we create views of that data, we add certain list functions to show you the capability, and we make REST API calls to retrieve your views and lists. It would be good to give a short break to your audience, followed by diving into cognitive services, and then a short overview of the certification so that we encourage the developers to take it. So I would move back to the event in a box. Okay. Now moving on to the audience, as we discussed briefly earlier, the audience is Java developers who are well conversant with Java language and are keen to move to the cloud because they see the advantages of being able to scale and use the rich set of services in Bluemix. The purpose, of course, is to drive awareness and adoption of Bluemix within the global Java developer community. We have, for the version 1 of the workshop, a set of prerequisites. All right, so let me share those, or let me take a quick peek at it with you to give you a feel for it. So here is the prerequisites. Like you see, Eclipse Mars should be installed. The steps to do so, if you don't have it already on your particular laptop that you're bringing to the workshop, then you should have, definitely, if you don't, Chrome browser, the JDK 1.7, and a Chrome plugin, namely Postman, for testing out REST APIs. So as you can see, it just walks you step by step. Then it takes you to the plugins for migration tooling, and we call them Liberty Profile Developer Tools for your Eclipse version Mars. So this will take you very carefully, step by step, through the prerequisites, and it will take you all the way to even installing the Android Studio, which is part of the mobile starter kit that we have not included in version 1, but it is available to you to pull in and the content is socialized with you, as I will show you, so you can anytime use the mobile starter kit. So I will go back to sharing the enterprise event in a box. After the prerequisites, we are calling all the worldwide technical SMEs to use this content and drive awareness and adoption of Bluemix within the Java developer community in their geos. And we also encourage them to provide us feedback on their experiences after sharing this workshop content. If certain modules needs to be updated, revised, or additional modules are needed, and some modules are not popular across a large number of audiences, we will adjust the coming versions of workshops accordingly. So next you see link to the actual workshop here. We are calling it JCAD workshop just as an acronym for Java Cloud Application Developer Workshop. So if you go to this link, you will see the workshop content as shown here. This is the location that you should come to check for any updates to the content. And it goes into the 5 modules step by step. It gives you introduction to Bluemix, as was the first module in the sample agenda. And that takes you through these bullet points. The presentation, which you see named Bluemix Java Intro, is available in GitHub IBM EcoD account. Okay, then we have the prerequisites here that you need to install, and they are available as an HTML document, again on GitHub IBM EcoD account. These prerequisites are required simply to do the lab for Eclipse tooling. So you would need them to play with the tooling as well as to issue the REST API calls via Postman. We have a lab for continuous delivery and continuous integration using IBM DevOps. And the theme across the assets is that they are all available on GitHub under IBM EcoD account in a very consistent manner. We have a team of folks who are looking at the compliance for packaging our assets. So you will see a consistency across all the assets. Next, we take you to migration presentation. It is actually a discussion on how apps can be renovated and migrated, what are the underlying principles, and what are the best practices. So that this presentation is really based on real-life interactions with customers via Bluemix Garage and outside. Next, you see the migration from Tomcat to Bluemix of a sample enterprise application. There is a section on Cloudent database. We have a presentation and lab, followed by our cognitive services section that gives you presentation and labs for both Watson APIs as well as Alchemy APIs. And last, we wrap up with a short overview of the IBM Cloud Application Developer Certification exam. So this was what the actual version 1 workshop looks like. As we said earlier, it is 6 hours in length, and the speaker type is face-to-face interaction. We are recording, as I speak, the entire workshop to be made available as a MOOC in DeveloperWorks, and we will also have additional assets listed as a collection besides the played out workshop MOOC. So you have seen the version 1. I now want to touch upon the additional workshop modules we have. So we all know that the Warden Challenge is in progress, and so we have put forward the overview for Warden, sample application, building using the Warden tutorial, using the Warden boilerplate, building an application using Warden front end and Bluemix services, and additional deep dives into Warden right here, as you see. And this is linked from the event in a box that I was going over. So if you would like to tailor the workshop, include the Warden module in place of certain modules that are there, or continue to the next day and include Warden modules, you're welcome to do so. And similar concept applies to using microservices module, which talks about polyglot programming, where you use Node.js as well as Java, where you develop using a REST service and the backend MQ-Lite service in Bluemix, a end-to-end application. So this sample application is available to you as a demo. So you can demo this to your audience by going to the GitHub IBM EcoD location and downloading the microservices PowerPoint and the microservices demo. Okay. Similarly, you have the third additional module, that is Mobile Starter Kit. It gives you an introduction to Android Studio configuration, as well as doing simple labs starting from Hello World to viewing events, to inducing errors and debugging them, adding a toast, adding a button listener, content providers, asynchronous tasks, and HTTP client simple demo. So these just go into small labs from 1 through 11. If you have your Android Studio set up and configured on your platform, be it Mac or Linux or Windows, you should be able to do these simple labs in an hour and a half. If you're running into issues, then it may take longer. So Android programming as such needs a lot of understanding as a springboard, and it needs you to be dealing with nuances that only you may run into or few people have run into, so the experience varies from person to person. Now I would go back to an event in a box and also share a slightly modified version of the workshop that we are calling JCAD Workshop 1.2. Okay, so it is not version 2, it is 1.2. And the reason it is because none of the content has changed, just we have added a PowerPoint to the Cloudant module, and we have added additional data service module pertaining to DashDB and SQL database. So that's where you will see a variation. So that's just to show you that you can customize the workshop content as you seem fit. So here is a sample welcome letter that you can send to the attendees of the workshop ahead of time, and it simply gives you a look at explaining to them why we are doing this workshop and what opportunity they have with respect to learning Eclipse tooling, continuous integration, and other aspects. You can adjust their content as you deem fit for your audience, and the location and time, and of course, when and time, where you're conducting the workshop. And importantly, what they should be prepared for before coming to the workshop, namely a Bluemix and DevOps account, linkage of the two accounts using the simple DevOps name, and what the prerequisites they need to go ahead with being successful in the workshop. So that is the welcome letter. Next, I would share with you a flyer that you can distribute at your events. So this flyer is again a template for you to see how Java Cloud Developer Application Workshop can be introduced. And so here I have put together that this workshop is introducing Java developers to the cloud. It provides technical insights into journey from developing running apps on-premise to running them on the cloud. The hands-on workshop presents opportunities to learn these following content. So this is for V1. You can adjust for what content you would be taking. If you're taking V1, then this is perfect. Giving the length of the workshop and what the prerequisites are, and then explain to them the objectives. So you can edit the objectives based on what content you're taking forward. The objective I have given is to engage Java developers by illustrating through presentations and labs the outstanding features in Liberty for Java Runtime, Bluemix Eclipse tooling, continuous delivery integration using DevOps and services, namely Cloudint and Watson, to address their interests. So I hope this is helpful, and please provide your feedback. If you have any questions, then I'm the contact point for workshop content. You can send me email, same time me. Here is my email address. And then I would also encourage you and me all together combined to go to JavaPlay's home. This is a community that has been set up for entire JavaPlay, which includes the digital assets we will put forward on Developer Works. It includes the workshop, and it includes the MOOC, which is video recordings, and the starter kit. So the starter kit is a collection of digital assets. So for all of that, the home is here, JavaPlay's home, and you can come in to this and go into feedback and help. And here you can start a topic or reply to a topic. So please provide your feedback, your thoughts, the content you are successfully sharing, which we can incorporate into the workshop content moving forward and give you the credit for developing that content. So everything as a suggestion and feedback is welcome from all of you. Thank you so much, and talk to you soon.